everybody. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays. It's your girl, Coach Crystal. And if you're just joining us, welcome to the Steps and Stages community. If this is your first time joining us for Wisdom Wednesday, wherever you're tuning in from, we just want to let you know that this is a time where I get to have candid conversations with people that I love, respect, and who I believe are shaping our lives, my understanding, and all of us collectively as well as individually. What we would love to do to welcome you in tonight is to just greet you with our Steps and Stages mantra. It just says that a lot of things happen before this, and I guarantee a lot of things are going to happen after this. But I promise to be here with you now. Please be here with me now. Tonight, you are in for a treat because not only is our guest one of my sorors, I mean, if you were just caught in the pink and green haze on every social media platform, you know that we are members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And tonight, we want to just drop a few pearls of wisdom on you. So please help me welcome to the Wisdom Wednesday Steps and Stages platform, Danielle the Coach. Hello.
Hi,
How you doing, soror?
I'm awesome, Sora. Thank you so much for having me.
It is my honor and a privilege. Listen, I cannot do what you do justice, right? So please introduce yourself to our audience in the way that you would categorize or name yourself, Danielle the Coach.
Absolutely. I am Danielle, the coach. I'm a certified life and leadership coach, and I am living my absolute best life helping entrepreneurs free themselves from their 9 to 5 without regret.
Love it, love it, love it. Listen, I want to jump right in because I also just want to be clear with this platform that we've had lots of coaches on here, right? We've had lots of coaches, lots of experts, and I want to just detangle for people right now that everyone has a gift and everybody is not everyone's coach. And so there is no competition here. There's really collaboration because there is enough for everyone. And I want to expose this platform, this community to as many experts as I can to make sure that whatever that next stage after your vision is, you know exactly who to call, right?
For
So,
sure.
Coach D, tell us a little bit about how you got into understanding how to get people to quit without regret.
I love to share that I was my first client.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was a career professional for about 12 years. I spent my entire professional career working for the FBI.
Uh-huh.
I grew up in the FBI. I started as an intern. I did the tango, did the dance. I saw a lot, experienced a lot, met a lot of amazing people, and I always share that I had a whirlwind storybook experience, especially for somebody that looks like me in
Uh-huh.
an organization that's traditionally white, male, older in
Yeah.
age, and special agent. I was none of the above, and
Mm-hmm.
but I still had like this Cinderella story, if you will. So for me, how I'm able to help people do what I do is because I was my first client, not even knowing that I was my first client.
Yeah.
I had hit the wall, which I call the mid career crisis,
Mm-hmm.
where it's just like you wake up one day and you're like, wait a minute, who am I? How did I get here? And how do I get out of it without turning my life upside down?
Right. Right. Right.
So that's how everything got started.
Yeah. I mean, that's great, right? Because a lot of people do think they have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right?
Absolutely.
Like I gotta stop this. I gotta do this. And I just want to just broaden this beyond career, right? Because a lot of people wake up and they're like, we're in an infodemic. I say this all the time, right? We're getting a barrage of information in their news feeds, everything. And it seems like the only way to be the strong, independent person is to cut off everybody you've ever known and walk the path alone because leaders do it alone and alpha females don't run in packs and blah. Right? Like, I mean, that's the narrative, right? So how do you counter the narrative, Coach D, in terms of you don't have to start from zero? Like where's the next step?
So the truth of the matter is, if you are a mid-career professional, there's no way you can start at zero. You have a wealth of experience and expertise doing something or some things.
Mm-hmm.
So when you make a transition, such as the one that I help my clients with, you're literally pivoting. And no matter how different the industry is that you may be moving into,
Yeah.
following your heart's desires,
Yeah.
you never lose what you know.
Yeah.
And so you find that you take the things that you know and you're able to apply them with ease in this new space.
Mm-hmm.
The space may be new, but you're not new.
Right.
And so
Right.
you can do things a little bit more quickly and effectively and leverage your skills and expertise from what you've already amassed in however long you were doing whatever else that you had developed that expertise in. So it's a pivot. You're never taking both feet out from under you. You're always just shifting in a different direction.
Yeah, that's good, right? Because I think the shifting is about perspective, right? That's one. It's about a little bit of, preparation, but not getting so stuck in the preparation that you never do anything. Right? We find a lot of clients who are just get stuck in the how loop. And I just need to learn one more thing. And I just need to get one more certification. I just need one more degree. And as soon as the kids do this, then I'll do that. And then as soon as my husband say I can, then right, all the contingencies, right? So
Mhm.
when we get into that loop of contingency versus courage, right? Like where do we really find what you would say, I think, is the moment of pivot?
It's when your faith outweighs your fear.
Mm,
And
yeah,
that's it, because fear will keep you stuck.
yeah.
But in the moment when you've had enough and you're at your wits' end, you can no longer band-aid the frustration, no longer band-aid the overwhelm and sometimes underwhelm, no
Mm-hmm.
longer band-aid the sense of feeling like you're withering away and dying a slow death. And
Mm-hmm.
for most of us at an early premature age,
Mm-hmm.
the fear of not pursuing the thing or things
Yeah.
at some point is going to shrink and your faith is going to expand just enough
Mm-hmm.
for you to lean into that thing and just take the first step.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm going to agree with that. It was steps at a time, right? Come on, steps and stages, right? But the thing is, also, right? I hear a lot of clients struggle with this word faith, right? And
Mhm.
I just want to open it up, right? There are a lot of people who don't have a spiritual practice or a faith practice, or they've never had to train that muscle because their intellect and their own kind of perseverance has gotten them through, right? And so I try to offer this intersection of understanding of faith, that faith is when you trust in what you know and have a deep enough desire for where you want to go, right? And that's the first step,
Period.
right? So we got to really kind of sometimes build that bridge a little more securely, because I'm not going to say anything bad about somebody already told me one day, they were like, you really are hard on people who make plans. And I was like, I'm not hard on people that make plans. I just believe that a plan is only going to get you so far. And a
Mhm.
plan actually doesn't require you a lot of times to flex that faith muscle.
And the thing about plans, though, plans can be simple and they can
Mm-hmm.
also be complex and robust.
Yes. Yeah.
So, what is the simplest way to get unstuck and just to start and take the first step?
Mm-hmm.
You can still have a plan. It doesn't have to be super calculated.
Right.
And so
Right.
I listen, I majored in math. So
Yes.
if there's a calculated person in the room, it is me.
And I did not. I did not.
And so I understand, right? And I
Yeah.
empathize with the planners,
Mhm.
but I also probably would align myself with you when it comes to being super rigid and saying, I don't have a plan, so I can't move forward.
Yeah.
What I know that I know on this journey,
Mm-hmm.
you will only know the next step, and you might get two or another one or two beside behind that or in front of
Right.
that, however we want to word it. And it won't be until you take that first step and the next step and the next step that the rest of the staircase is revealed. That's
Mm-hmm.
just how this faith thing goes.
Yeah.
And to your point about faith, it's about belief and possibility.
Yeah.
Even if you're not spiritual or religious, it's about belief and possibility
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
as a baseline.
Yep, that's exactly what it is, right? We say that all the time here, that like vision is basically the way you learn possibility, right? And the more steps you take, like you're saying, like we're driving down a dark highway, you
Mhm.
only can see as far as the headlights go anyway, but you
Mhm.
keep driving,
That's it.
right? Like we keep doing it every day. Coach D, I want to check
Mhm.
in with you about something that I also hear a lot.
Sure.
Um, time. I don't have time to work on myself. I don't have time. I don't know if I can commit. I mean, I can't afford it. Like, what is your understanding of your own self development and the time and investment it took to get you here? And what would you advise someone else to do?
They're right. You don't have time
Uh huh.
until you do. And it's another one of those decisions that you make because enough is enough. Sip the tea, soror. It's another one of those decisions that you make when enough is enough. You can't take it anymore, and you decide to start saying no to things that are not serving you,
Yep.
no to the things that are negotiable,
Mm-hmm.
and you start exchanging your time
Mm-hmm.
in those places for to do things for you that you really really want to do,
Yep.
really, and that you really need to do. And a
Yep.
lot of times what that looks like is saying no.
Yeah. It's not a bad word.
It can be hard, as simple as it is, the
Yeah.
two words and the period, the two letters and the period behind it. It can be hard, right? And
Right.
again, I empathize because I understand. As
Yeah.
a doer, as a giver, as a beer of all the things to all the people in all the ways
Mm-hmm.
for so long, and
Mm-hmm.
having conditioned myself to show up that way,
Yep.
it's not something that is easy to turn off like that. And even
Right.
if you do turn it off, there are consequences.
Yeah.
And that's why we never turn it off in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, the faith of I gotta do me in this season outweighs the fear of whatever reprimand or feelings, hurt feelings other people may have and
Mm-hmm.
disappointments they may have. At some point, the shift happens, and when
Yeah.
it happens, it happens. But it's
Yeah.
a decision.
It is a decision, right? Like decisions is the most decision and imagination are two of the most powerful tools we have, right? And so even when you say that no, I just want to say to all of the people out there who have built their personality, who have built their connections and their network on what they think is their yes. Your yes is about expansion and your no is about clarity. So if you've expanded beyond the context of who you want to be in a certain situation, then your yes gets very expensive. And when you do say no, it's exactly like Coach Danielle just said, no, N-O with a period. In your mind, it probably sounds like N-O with an exclamation point, but you're not yelling. It's not that deep, right?
Right,
It's just
right,
no, right? It's a declarative statement. And no, thank you. I would not like a serving of that. No, thank you, right? Like
right.
we just have to know what we are taking in, right? Like that daily intake of what we would love, the daily intake of what's going to build the next platform for us in us,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
When we think about what's coming into our time, into our understanding, then we can easily say no, like, no, I don't want a serving of that. Like it's really
Yeah,
clear. Um, Coach D, I also want to check in with you because I know like a lot of people, right, we don't have time, right? And we don't have money. And then which means we don't have joy, right?
come on now.
And when the opportunity arises to create or invest in joy, we still say no because we're stuck in that pattern of we it's easy for everyone else to get our yes except for us.
Mhm.
Right? So how do we shift again that mindset of like how do I give my yes to myself?
It's about self-worth.
Mhm. Mhm.
We get one life. And so for me, something that I use to chin check myself is, will I be able to look myself in the mirror at my appointed time and have no regrets?
Mhm.
One of
Mhm.
my greatest fears is leaving this earth with regrets.
Mhm. Mhm. Yep.
And so I owe it to myself to treat myself and expose myself to the things that I want to learn, that I want to experience, that I want to do, even
Yeah.
if it means doing it by myself.
Yep. 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 Yeah. That's it. That's huge, right? Because we're so conditioned that if we're not doing it with someone or for someone, then it might not count. And again, like I mean, in our culture now, right, where like if you don't have a picture or the T-shirt, it didn't count.
No, if you didn't post it, it
If you
didn't
didn't post it, right? Because if you had the picture, it's fine. You can have the picture, but if you didn't post it and it wasn't cute, like it doesn't matter, right? So that kind of mentality, like if you're doing it by yourself, it doesn't count, translates into if you're doing it for yourself, it doesn't count.
Mhm.
Right, right, yeah, yeah,
But I want to add something to that though, right?
yeah, yeah.
Because one thing that I've learned, and I am that person who's been like an outlier in all the spaces that I take
Hmm.
up, family and friends.
Yeah,
One thing they know, if Danielle wants to do it,
it's gonna get done.
she's gone. It's like, and by the time you find out, it's not even a question or permission. She just put you on notice. So go ahead and get your feelings together.
Right,
Feel how
right,
you want to feel,
right,
because
right.
she's going to do the thing. And I don't care if that is going away for my birthday out overseas, going to Italy, traveling by myself,
Yeah.
meeting a group of perfect strangers, and spending over a week exploring this country.
Mhm.
Like, who does that in my space? Nobody.
Right. But you.
Quitting my six-figure good government career,
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
right?
uh-huh. Yeah.
To pivot into a space in an industry where there are not as many people that look like me, right?
Yeah.
And my target audience isn't um, as well aware of what I do as maybe a different type of coach. So then
Yeah.
there's that part of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, what has gotten into her? Her heart was calling, and she
Yeah.
answered.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what I know in doing all of the things, and those are just two examples of times when I have chosen me and done it, even if it meant doing it by myself,
Mm-hmm.
when most people in my space didn't understand. I have met like minds and like souls and like hearts on the journey to doing
Yeah.
those things. So I was never by myself in the first place. That's how I
Right.
met you.
Right. Exactly. Right. Like I mean, okay, we like people. Okay, hold on. Let me get my tongue together so I can say this clearly. Right. Again, right. We live in a culture where a lot of large theories are boiled down into hashtags and single thoughts.
Mhm.
Right. So when we understand spiritual law, and this is across the board, doesn't matter what you study, who you call God, that the calling is from the beginning. We don't have the tuning to hear it.
Ooh,
We have to be forged by experience because understanding comes after experience. You can't understand something unless you've done something, which again, if you're stuck, you're not doing anything, so you don't understand another part of yourself, right? But that forging and that tuning turns into the clarity that we're looking for from the beginning, but you can't have it because you haven't done anything.
we could just go ahead and wrap this right there because that was a bar.
Right? Like there are a lot, I've had multiple careers, right?
Yeah.
Professional dancer, tenured professor, a visual, like all the things. In each one of those things, Coach D, no one ever put me on stage and said, "We think you're ready, go for it."
Mm. Mhm.
Nobody ever put me in front of a classroom and said, "Yep, just tell them whatever you want." Right?
Mhm.
Nobody did that. There was preparation, there was an outcome that needed to be met, and there was a whole lot of practice.
Yeah.
Right? What I think we miss, and you can tell
Mhm.
me if I'm wrong, right? What I think we miss is that this thing that we're being, that we're upset about, that we need to get away from, this thing that we're running from that's counter to what's in our heart,
Mhm.
we're still rehearsing it every day. You're
Mm.
showing up to the rehearsal of the old you every day.
Yeah.
You're not showing up with the vision of the new you. And so, guess who's winning?
That old version.
Right? Right? And the old version is like you said, fear is winning over faith.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you the question of the season, Coach D.
Okay.
Okay, each season we have a question. Last season, our question was from a quote by Pico Eiler that said, you are only as strong as your willingness to surrender. So we asked our guests last season, what was your place of surrender? Now
Mhm.
this year, we're bringing a quote from DeLillo, and it says, "The family is the cradle of misinformation." Right? So we know that you've been the outlier in your family, right? You
Mhm.
said yes to things that other people didn't think were logical, all these things. Tell us one of the greatest misinformations that you may have gathered from your family along the way.
Um, I want to say that it has to do with it's still wrapped around my career.
Mm-hmm.
It's wrapped around my career.
Yeah.
Just knowing the generations before me and what their value systems were
Yeah.
and how they found security and what they believed security was.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, being the person that said, wait a minute, I don't feel valued in this place. I'm making good money.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize my value, even though I don't feel valued. I know I'm educated, I'm talented, I'm teachable, I'm trainable, I have a degree in mathematics. I have a degree in IT. What do we even? Don't have any debt, no dependents. So at this juncture, they need me more than I need them. And I have savings in the bank. And
Right.
so security for them outweighed peace
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would look 10 years older if I hadn't quit the first time
Yeah.
because I did it twice.
Yeah. Right.
And
Okay.
so it's the security around how you can and how we're supposed to make a living. And it
Mm-hmm.
has to be clocking in at somebody's job. And don't get me wrong, I don't knock the 9 to 5. I made
Yeah.
good money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And for those, and I actually tell my clients, listen, don't do it my way. Have a plan. My
Right.
situation was a little unique. Like
Mm-hmm.
milk the 9 to 5 while you can, right? But it's that security piece just around how things have to be done to have peace of mind. But my peace of mind came from a different place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, right? Because you're bringing up one of these words that people love to lean on when they're afraid to step into their transformation:
Mhm,
security,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
But when do we define security? Who's defining security for us, right? It's
Right.
either intrinsic or extrinsic. Like, how much money do I have in the bank, or how confident am I in my own gifts and calling?
Yeah.
Right? So it's either that security piece is hard to detangle from the other thing that you said in the beginning, which is self-worth,
Mm,
right? And value.
yeah.
Because if I've attached my self-worth and value to the amount of money I have in the bank, or if I've always been, a mommy or a daddy's girl and what they say gives me value, then I'm going to
Mhm,
lean on both of these things to extract what I should do next, right?
mhm,
And it
mhm.
was really interesting. I mean, I remember the probably a few of the times where in my evolution as an adult, right, I just realized, oh, my parents were like regular people, and they giving me advice based on their regular life, and I ain't in that regular life, right? Like they can't tell, like, no, like there's no way they can give me advice on what I'm about to do,
Mhm,
right? It just wasn't. It was no way. They had never done it. They never seen it done, so there
mhm.
was no way I could take their opinion into the calculation of what I was about to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. When people are surrounded, mostly by their family or their friends, Coach D, where do they go for the alternate opinion?
To what I call your personal board of directors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's imperative that your personal board of directors is diverse.
Yeah.
And so diversity in thought, diversity in experience,
Mm-hmm.
but you want them to be people that really, really are in your corner and rooting for you and want to see you win, even if they don't agree with you.
Yeah.
But it provides an element of balance. So you're making a calculated decision and you're able to weigh most, if not all, possible possibilities, right? And
Mm-hmm.
vantage
Mm-hmm.
points.
Yeah.
And so, I that was my experience because the first time that I decided to give my 2 weeks notice and quit my 6-figure job
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
on a whim, I went down my Rolodex to my personal board of directors. I talked to my grandmother. And
Yeah.
from her generation, it's just like, you sure you want to do that, baby?
Good
Yes.
job. Good job.
My mom, my mother was like, girl, don't leave that job, right? My dad, different school of thought, I got a place for you to stay. Do you? You'll be
Uh-huh.
fine.
Yeah.
My sister is like, ride or die. What we
Uh-huh.
doing? The guy I was dating at the time, he's like, listen, you got a place to stay. Like, don't worry about it.
Right.
And so, even though I had a mixture of opinions, right, it provided balance. So, I wasn't jumping off without a parachute. I knew that there was some risk,
Mm-hmm.
even if I didn't know for myself. I
Yeah.
had people that loved me that were like, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
factor this in. But at the end of the day, it was still my decision.
Right.
And I had to own it praying that the parachute opened up for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in that instance, it did. And so, kind of coming in with this same quote, right, in the question that you asked me, what
Mhm.
was beautiful about that experience, that time I quit though, and having the diverse and varying um, thoughts and opinions and sentiments about the decision that I was about to make,
Yep.
is that when I tell you the parachute opened for me that time, I actually was recruited back
Mm.
before my 2 weeks was up and working in a whole totally different division, um, in a space that I love. It made my heart sing.
Yeah.
And so what that did for my personal board of directors that knew what I was doing in that season, it took their faith to another level.
Okay. Exactly. Right. Because we say this all the time. The vision is bigger than you. You don't actually know what your decisions are doing for other people.
And when I tell you it was a lateral transfer, I didn't lose a penny in salary,
Mm-hmm.
walking the same halls with the same strut,
Mm-hmm.
no care in the world. And it's just like, my goodness, I made my mind up, and I knew, I declared that I was going to be okay,
Right.
even if it meant going to be a math teacher. Yeah, the salary would have been drastically different, but I'm employable.
Yes.
I got skills to pay the bills.
Right. 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 Right.
So yeah, that just kind of gave me chills reliving that for a second.
Right. But I think again, like what you're saying is you did not know that you were going to make a lateral move in the same organization.
I had no idea.
You were willing to give up the quote unquote safety and security for what you would love, and then what you loved showed up in a form that you had never imagined.
It brings tears to my eyes just
Right.
with you playing it back to me like that. Yes.
Right. I think that's what a lot of people are afraid of, is that what they're expecting will not show up.
Hmm.
Right. And that expectation coupled with past disappointments will just keep you, well, this is a good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he is a good man. And this place ain't that bad. And right,
Listen.
it'll keep like
Listen.
cycling back until you actually do take that leap of faith and say, what's in here is more valuable than what's out there.
Let's talk about it. And one of the things that, of course, hindsight being 2020, when
Mhm.
you're in the thick of it, you can
Yeah.
only see but so far, right? But when you're out of it, you're on the other side, whatever the other side looks like, whether it's a lesson to be learned or you've triumphed. I was able to look back, and I remember a soror that I
Hmm.
knew well, and she knew, I think it was a GS 14, making six figures at the time. She knew
Yeah.
what I was making,
Yeah.
and we bumped into each other in the hallway. She knew that I was leaving, and she was like, "Girl, you ain't scared. You 14. You're not scared." And I was like, "I'll be fine." And I said it like, when I tell you I had peace about my decision,
Yeah.
and when I knew in my soul knew that I was going to be okay. And even when I told her I'll be fine, I didn't know what was coming. I didn't know that other opportunity was around the corner. I didn't know my name was being spoken in rooms that I wasn't even in.
Exactly.
I was done. When I tell you I was done,
Bye.
I was, listen, she's gone out of here. Deuces, love y'all. It's been real.
It's been fun.
But it's that moment I remember vividly. I know the hallway we were in and everything. And I was just like, girl, I'll be fine. I got savings, I got degrees, I'll be
Right.
fine.
Right.
But I know for a fact that it was the confidence that I had
Hmm. Yep.
in my decision. There
Huge.
was no doubt that I was going to be okay. And I think
Hmm.
when doubt is anywhere in the mix,
Yeah.
that's when things get shaky, because
Yeah.
you gotta believe
Yeah.
with your whole being that you're gonna be okay.
You do, Coach. I wholeheartedly agree, right? And that belief is centered around what, again, what we were talking about at the beginning: worth, value, and for me, I'm going to say your vision, because if you
Yep.
can't see yourself bigger, you don't have anything bigger to believe in, right?
Yep.
And you're bringing up one of our kind of core values, which is confidence, because we build integrity with other people, we keep our agreements with other people, and we don't keep them with ourselves.
Yep.
And the etymology of the word confidence really means to confide within. So if you're confiding within
Mm.
and you're breaking your promises to yourself, then it's eroding your faith, and fear is winning, right?
Yep.
You're constantly setting yourself up to be ingenuous with yourself,
Yep.
right? And so, but I love this, because what you're saying is that even in that first moment where you had peace, it was
Mhm.
because you had never let you down.
I won't say that. I
Well,
won't
I
say
mean,
that.
in this, but more than the system, right? You know, like we believe in
Yes,
systems, right? We're like,
yes.
oh, I believe that'll do it for me, or that. No, I believe I will do it for me.
And I make good decisions.
Yeah.
That's something I had to reinforce. I make great decisions.
Yes. Right. Right.
Yep.
I mean, the mathematics is there to back that up. Okay. She's 10 out of 10. She's 85% in the good decision realm. Okay. Like, well, let's just call it what it is. Listen, if you're out there and you have a question for the coach, Danielle, the coach, or me about anything we've been talking about, I just want to welcome you into Wisdom Wednesdays. We have a few more minutes with Danielle, the coach. We're talking about how you can increase your self-worth and your value to either make a shift in your life, in your career, or the paradigms that surround your evolution, right? If that is something that you're interested in working on, you can jump over. If you're looking to make a career transition and you just haven't figured it out, jump over to quitwithoutregret.com, and that's how you can get in touch with Danielle, the coach. If you are getting clear on your vision, we want to invite you to the free Beyond the Board workshop this Saturday, where we're not just getting the vision on a board that we can look at and imagine. We want to get beyond the board into some real strategies that can help us build a life we really love. Coach Danielle, when you first come in contact with clients who are ready to quit without regret, what is it that they really feel like they're going to regret? Like, where does that come from?
Losing their sense of security
Mm-hmm.
and not being able to replace their salary
Yeah.
or however they generate income at that point in their life, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not being able to pay the bills,
Yeah.
to survive,
Yeah.
and carry on whatever obligations that they have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I don't make light of any of this, right? But when I was a welfare mother in New York City, right, I was an artist. Even before I was on welfare, I was living in New York City, probably on $16,000 a year, right? And people are like,
Mhm.
how in the world does that happen, right?
Right.
But when you are focused on doing something, the other parts come together,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And so I don't make light of anyone who is battling the security paradigm,
Mhm.
but I do want to really illustrate for you that it is not about the amount. It is about the stewardship and the intuition you follow to meet the goal that is in your heart, right? And when we move those other parameters or judgments out of the way, the resources get refined in a way that they are always enough,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So for
Yeah.
anybody who's battling that way, if I leave, this might happen. I mean, y'all, I do this all the time, and I'm not right. I'm not saying I'm superhuman, okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm a parent who's single, and there are a lot of times that I have to make big decisions, and everything about my upbringing from my subconscious mind jumps up, and my mama goes, "Well, how the baby gonna go to college? And then, well, who gonna pay the car payment? Because you know you're not married. I mean, like, who gonna do that? All the things, right?" And both of my parents are deceased, so all of it comes out from like everywhere, right?
Mhm.
The fear, the loneliness, all the things. But I just want to be super clear with everybody out there that those are just feelings. And I
Yeah.
don't mean to minimize your feelings because feelings have a root in deeper truth, right?
Yeah.
But the feeling is sometimes like hunger. It will pass if you eat, right? And so if you're having a feeling of fear, it will pass if you take a little action, right? So moving in that realm of confidence for yourself. So security, huge, right?
Yeah.
Replacing the salary. What else do
Mhm.
they regret, Coach Daniel?
Um, they come to the table with a sense of loyalty to
Mm,
something, someone, or some things.
yeah. Hmm.
And again, the type of person that I attract, right, is the giver. They have
Yeah.
amazing, beautiful, huge hearts. High achievers, overachievers, just reputations that come before them, just amazing human beings. And
Yeah.
because we're wired the way that we're wired, we're loyal
Yeah.
and not wanting to leave. There's some comfort, right? But then the relationships that we developed.
Hmm.
Um, when I was with the Bureau, I am the founder of an employee resource group called FAM for short, but it stands
Uh-huh.
for FBI African American Millennials.
Hmm.
When I tell you it was a grassroots movement birthed out of my purpose that I now know, right?
Yeah.
Just divine assignment and alignment and action. And here we are.
Yep. Right.
Um, but I know that on the tail end of my career when like the bones started to rub against each other, right? That's what
Mhm.
life felt like for me. It was very uncomfortable. Fam was birthed and began to grow. And that was my passion project.
Yeah.
Like I would have done that for free. I was doing it for free, right? But if I could have a job, it would have been to do that full time,
Right.
right? But it wasn't a thing. It's just an employee resource group.
Yeah.
The group morphed like miraculously in record time and is still doing numbers today. I'm actually meeting with them tomorrow.
Okay.
They're bringing me back, so I'm
Yeah.
going back home for a second. When I tell you that was my birth child, that was
Yeah.
my brainchild,
Yeah.
and my heart was 1,000% in it. I was only there as long as I was after FAM was created because FAM was a thing.
Mhm.
And I felt like, well, how can I leave? I started this group, and like I'm the founder. Like people look to me, like I'm the one that's kind of like bringing a lot of my connections and my network, and the thing is morphing and it's beautiful. It feels amazing, but I had to go back to what we talked about earlier, right?
Mhm.
I had to choose me
Yeah.
because fam wasn't enough to keep me commuting 2 hours each way, doing my day job, doing work that I was not in love with by a long shot,
Mhm.
literally sitting at my desk withering away. Like fam met for an hour once a month. So what was I doing in all that other time?
Yeah.
Miserable.
Yeah.
So I had to choose me, but there was a sense of loyalty which kept me there maybe a year, definitely several months longer than what I probably would have
Mhm.
if fam wasn't a thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that loyalty piece, it's silent,
Yeah.
but it can be lethal.
Yeah. But and I think it's the thing that really has allowed us to name something like the quiet quit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because as soon as someone withdraws their heart in a workplace and in a relationship, there is a you feel the difference,
Yeah.
right? And so that quiet quit has been something that we've been able to name in this regard. I mean, the other thing that you're bringing up here, Coach Danielle, is this impact and this legacy piece,
Mm.
right? So out of the connection that we have, not just as coaches but as sorors, right? There is a legacy that we're born in, that that was paved before us, right? People were
Yeah.
blazing trails before we got here, right? And I think that even in understanding that there is something that we're doing in this very moment that is leaving a trace for other people to follow,
Mhm.
right, imbues the work that we all do with a certain understanding of legacy. Tell us a little bit before we have to sign off about the legacy of your work and what you want to actually leave behind.
Something that if someone is subscribed to my email list
Mhm.
from the inception of my email list, of my email account, my Danielle the
Yeah,
Coach email account, I
yeah,
sign every email in purpose. This is purpose work that I'm doing.
yeah.
And one of the tenets, the foundational tenets of why I do what I do is not only because I'm doing it on purpose, but I'm doing it in my purpose.
Hmm. Hmm.
But my goal is to literally be a purpose prophet, right? To help people usher them through that moment of awakening that you mentioned earlier, right? Like
Yeah,
it exists, but then we
yeah,
got to live a little bit and have experience and
yeah,
then kind of grow into the thing, right? But
yeah.
that's the purpose, right? Why you were created in the first place.
Hmm.
No, you're not going to know it at the outset, but there will come a day
Yeah.
when you wake up one morning
Hmm.
and you will question everything that you've come to know as your sense of security, as your sense of peace, as your sense of wherewithal. And you start to ask questions, right? And then you desire something different. You
Hmm.
might not know what it is because you
Yep.
lack the vision, right? But you know there's something churning in you, nagging you, nudging you day in and day out, and you begin
Hmm.
to wrestle. You don't know what it is. You name it as being all these other things
Yep.
until like, okay, we check this. No, still not. It's still not fixed. It's still there.
Right, right.
Purpose is calling. Will you answer?
Yeah,
And so for me, my legacy is rooted in purpose. Right now, and I know that I'm called to do this because it's what freed me.
yeah,
And so it's purpose, pursuing purpose in pursuit of freedom. Because
yeah,
I believe we all get to be free. We always get to choose. But what
yep,
are we choosing?
yep.
Are we choosing fear? Are we choosing faith? Are we choosing freedom? or are we choosing the rat race?
Security. Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
Look, in air quotes,
Right,
security.
right, exactly, right. All of it is an
Yeah.
illusion. Listen, Coach Danielle, I'm just grateful that you offered us your time tonight. Thank you so much for not only illustrating through your own practice and your own life that the transformation that we want in our lives, that nudge, right, is something that we can follow, but also something that can fuel our real purpose. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Welcome to the Steps and Stages family. We'll
Thank
make
you.
sure we have you back. And I just want to give people just another understanding that if you're ready to work with Coach Danielle, you can jump over to quitwithoutregret.com. If you are ready to go beyond the board with your vision, join us on Saturday for the Beyond the Board workshop. You can jump over and just look at any of our Instagrams or link trees and get the free link from there. And if you have not at this point gotten your copy of the new Steps and Stories devotional, the autograph copy, because the pre-orders will end on January 31st, right? Then we go live for the real publishing on February 1st with TBN, Barnes and Noble, and all major distributors. But if you want your autograph copy, you can jump over to crystalbrown.com and grab that today. And we would love to have you as a part of the Steps and Stages family. So continue to like, follow, subscribe. And if this had a nugget in it for you, share it with someone else who you know is ready to take that step into a new life that they would really love. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon. Coach Danielle, thank you so much for joining us.
My
We'll see you
pleasure.
soon. Bye-bye. Good night, y'all.